What? Bivol versus Beterbiev trilogy won't happen until 2026?
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk, and we are back with another YouTube video banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what time it is. A doctor's in the house, man, so check this out. But before we do, don't forget to smack that like button for your boy. It really helps us to keep going and growing. Let's do it together. There you go. I appreciate it. See, that didn't hurt, did it? But now let's get to the news at hand. Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev will be having their much anticipated trilogy later on in 2025, or so we thought, right? Originally, we thought it was going to be in October, then maybe November, but then it seems like it could be pushed back to the end of 2026, like literally the end, like the end of December, or most likely it'll be pushed back to early 2026. And this is a major setback because, for me, man, hey man, I'm a selfish boxer fan. I want to see all the big fights, so I'm really hurt by this news, 'cause I'm looking forward to this trilogy between two phenomenal fighters. They're 1-1 currently split, with Beterbiev beating Bivol for the first fight, then Bivol beating Beterbiev in the second fight in the rematch. So I'll wait for this trilogy to determine really who has light heavyweight dominance, and now it seems like we're gonna have to wait a little longer. Now it's up for speculation as to why the fight was postponed, but I'm gonna go ahead and dispel some of these goofy behind rumors that I'm hearing circulating, right? So I want to tell you right now, I do not know the reason why it was postponed. I can only give you an educated guess, a hypothesis, right? Based on what I've seen, I can tell you what I don't think it is. A lot of people are saying that it's because Dmitry Bivol is ducking other fighters.
You dumbass.
What? Why would he be ducking other fighters, And so I don't think that's the issue. I don't think it's because he ducked Benavidez and all of a sudden he's ducking the IBF mandatory, So I just don't think that's the case. I think that he wants to fight Beterbiev and he's contractually obligated to fight Beterbiev. And even if he wasn't, that's just the right thing to do. The manly thing to do is to, give the person a rubber match who gave you a rematch in order for you to avenge your only loss. So I think that's only the right thing to do, but the IBF has called on their mandatory to be faced, mandatory get his opportunity for a title in Michael Eifert, right, to fight Dmitry Bivol. And he's the IBF mandatory challenger. And that's a challenge that Dmitry Bivol effectively inherited, because when Beterbiev had the IBF title and he won the first fight, he was called to face his mandatory, but the IBF and Michael Eifert, they came to an agreement to allow the rematch between Beterbiev and Bivol to remain for undisputed. So he took step aside money or whatever situation or deal that they had in place in order for the rematch to be for undisputed. Now the third match, I don't think Michael Eifert is going. He wants his opportunity and he should. And so the IBF, as we reported a couple of days ago, have announced that, it's time for the mandatory challenger to get his just due and the IBF champion fulfill his obligations to fight the mandated guy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But let's see if you're Dmitry Bivol, right? He was already stripped of the WBC belt, and that's why David Benavidez has been elevated to the WBC champion in light heavyweight division. So why would we think that Dmitry Bivol would prioritize a mandatory defense against Michael Eifert, an even lesser known opponent, and sidestep the Beterbiev trilogy?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like, what? That just doesn't make sense. Why would he be stripped of the WBC for not fighting the guy that they wanted him to fight, but then he'll postpone the trilogy to fight Michael Eifert, a guy that the IBF wants him to fight? Now, I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just saying that doesn't make sense, because if he does do that, then he's definitively ducking David Benavidez. Yeah, and I just don't think that he's ducking anybody. You know what I'm saying? I just think that he wants to do the Beterbiev trilogy. But if that is not possible right now, then I think he could fight Michael Eifert to fulfill his obligations as an IBF champion if he wants to keep the belt. But if he doesn't care about the belt, then you could see him just sit out until the Beterbiev rematch or trilogy is available. Now, so I personally don't believe that, and this, like I said, this is speculation, this is rumors. I don't have anything to substantiate this. I'm just going off the information at hand that the fight was postponed. I personally believe that it's not Bivol. I think that's Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev might have sustained another injury. And if you pay attention to Artur Beterbiev's career, it has been riddled with injuries here and there. In fact, the first fight between Beterbiev and Bivol, if you recollect correctly, that that was postponed. Remember, Dmitry Bivol fought Malik Zanad, and the fight was pushed back. It's because Artur Beterbiev suffered an injury to his meniscus.
You dumbass.
He tore his knee, right? So he had the knee injury, and that's why the fight was postponed originally. And if you go back and look at his career, right, he has had injuries that have postponed his fights before. So this is nothing new. So I'm going to assume that it's Beterbiev that sustained the injury, but it could have been Bivol who sustained the injury, or it could have been something else unrelated, period. And that maybe for whatever reason, they couldn't hash out the details to get the fight this year. They have to push back to next year. But I don't think it's a scenario where Bivol is trying to age out Beterbiev. I see some dummy saying that he's trying to age out Beterbiev. What are you talking about, bro? They already fought twice. Ain't nobody trying to age out anybody, man. Y'all gotta relax with these false narratives and this goddamn soap opera antics, man. If y'all want to watch drama and not sport, go watch reality TV, bro. Go watch Real Houses. I don't even know. Real Hip Hop in Hollywood. I don't know what it's called, or Real Housewives of Hollywood, or Real Husbands of whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hip on reality TV, but go watch that because you love drama. You know what I'm saying? Go watch Young and the Restless or something, some other soap opera. But this is boxing, man. This is sport. I just don't. I just think that's completely unnecessary. Why would you think Bivol? Yeah, but anyway, so I don't think Bivol is ducking anybody. I just think that, you know, to me, the most likely scenario, and I'm sure that they'll come out with the breaking news later when it's actually disclosed fully, and that I think that, you know, for right now, I don't know, but I think Beterbiev is probably injured. You know what I'm saying? So, and he probably his path to recovery probably won't be completed until early next year, you know, and maybe Bivol's hurt too, and maybe his recovery takes till next year. I don't know, but don't be surprised if Dmitry Bivol is waiting on Artur Beterbiev, and as opposed to just sitting idly by, he elects to go keep the IBF belt, or attempt to keep the IBF belt and defend against Michael Eifert, or he could give it up entirely. You know what I'm saying? Because remember when Beterbiev was hurt in the first fight, when it was postponed, he fought Malik Zanad instead of sitting around and waiting. So don't be surprised if he elects not to sit around and wait and go have a fight in the interim. And I don't think that's indicative of him ducking or anything. It's just that's how the chips fall sometimes. You know, yes, would I have liked to see him fight Benavidez? Because now in hindsight, it seems like, okay, the fight's being postponed, so you could have fought Benavidez. But at the time that the WBC and Mauricio Solomon were moving with urgency and haste, he didn't have the opportunity to try to go fight Benavidez without sacrificing his trilogy with Beterbiev. You know, he said he wanted to prioritize the trilogy. Seemed like everything was a go. So at that time period, it made sense for him not to fight Benavidez, Michael Eifert, or anybody else. You know, instead, you go fight Beterbiev because that's what you're obligated to, you know. So I have no problem with that. It's just the way that things happen now. You know, we can fast forward to the future where we're at presently. Then it seems like that was a bad decision, but it's not because they had plans for the fight to be postponed. We got to relax. But yeah, I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Do you think Bivol should try to keep the IBF belt and maybe go fight his mandatory Michael Eifert? Do you think that's too dangerous and he could maybe could lose? Should he fight like an easy touch, a soft touch, or should he just wait and chill until early next year and then fight Beterbiev like they planned to already and get it over with and done? I do think that the farther that this gets delayed, though, I do think that it's more advantageous for Bivol because Beterbiev is the older fighter, you know, and I think he'll be 41 in January.
Damn. I'm sorry.
So he's not a spring chicken, but at this point in time, these guys are fighting. So however it comes about, it comes about. I don't think it's because anybody's ducking or anybody's being aged out or anything like that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Happy 4th of July, y'all.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.